You are listening to Proof of Love with Tatiana Moroz, Dr. Stephanie Murphy, and Lauren Kasovitz. This show may contain adult content, language, and humor and is intended for mature audiences. If that's not you, please stop listening. Nothing you hear on Proof of Love is intended as financial advice, legal advice, therapy, or really anything other than entertainment. Please take everything that you hear with a grain of salt. Oh, and if you're hearing us on an affiliate network, the ideas and views expressed on this show are not necessarily those of the network that you're listening on, or of any of the sponsors or affiliate products that you may hear about on the show. Now that that's squared away, let's start the show. Show me your heart. I know that it's beating. Tell me that you love me too. So I know your heart is true. 'Cause I need some proof of love. 'Cause I need some proof of love. 'Cause I need some proof of love. Thank you to our sponsor, blocktap.io. Please go to their website and check out their universal cryptocurrency API to get reliable cryptocurrency data. blocktap.io. Hello, everyone, and thank you for listening to Proof of Love. You're going to get some advice today, whether you like it or not. It's time for some tough love with Tatiana and Stephanie. Hey, Steph, how's it going?
Oh, I am so ready to give tough love, and I'm so excited to be here with you, Tatiana. We are answering Q&As today on today's show. If you want to send in your questions, you can always email Tatiana at cryptomediahub.com, or you can go to our website, which is proofoflovecast.com. Don't forget the cast, proofoflovecast.com, and contact us through our website, and we would love to receive your question, and maybe we'll even talk about it on the show.
And if you have a question that's short and can fit into a small amount of characters, you can tweet it at us, especially if it's a funny question. We like those.
Right on.
So do you want to take the first question? I feel like
going Dutch. What's the question? Going Dutch?
Sure. We can open up with that. What do we think of going Dutch?
Oh, man. Okay. So what does that mean, going Dutch? It's when you go on a date and you're splitting the cost of the bill for whatever you're consuming, like food, dinner, maybe even coffee or tea, which I don't know, if someone's wanting to go Dutch on coffee or tea, then it seems like maybe it's making a point about equality or no one owes each other anything. But you know, I think that's usually the motivation that some people have for going Dutch. For some people, it's that they don't want to pay for the whole thing themselves, or they don't want to, invest into a date where they're uncertain if they're going to get burned at the end or pay off. So they want to minimize that feeling of getting burned in case it doesn't work out by asking the other person to pony up as well. Some people do it because they want to make a point about equality, right? They want to set a standard that says nobody expects anybody to, pay their way. We're both going to pay our own way. We're both independent people, and we feel good about that.
I think that it depends on the context, right? So you can certainly, let's say you're going to a business meeting and you want to make sure that that person doesn't get the wrong idea, or you're going on a meeting that you want to specify that it is not a date.
I didn't even think of that, but this is great that you're bringing it up.
Well, yeah, that's the first kind of disqualifier, right? So if I want a guy to know that we're not going on a date, then I'm paying for half of it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But if I'm on a date, I think that a guy who doesn't pay is kind of, I'm sorry, but it really grosses me out. And I know a lot of women that feel that way. And it is, a liberated world. And this is why I think the feminists sometimes are just like, all right, ladies, simmer down. We have a lot of nice things that happen because we're girls and stuff. But maybe it's my old, like Eastern European upbringing or something. But I feel that the woman is the prize in the dating relationship, and she should feel like she's being taken out. And I think that shows to me that the man is respectful of my time, and more importantly, that he's able to provide for me. Not that I need him to provide for me, but I want to know that he does, because at the basic biological level, that turns me on. And I mean, I'm not a person that dates guys who have a lot of money. I generally don't, actually, to my mother's great dismay and to my own occasionally. but I do think that it's very rude if a man doesn't pay, and it's an instant turn off for me. And I know a lot of women feel that way.
Yeah, I think everybody wants to feel special and to feel like they're valued. And one way to show appreciation is by giving a gift or just by saying, like, I'm happy to do this for you. You inspire generosity in me. I want to take you out to dinner because I really enjoy your company. And I want to just, give you the gift of appreciation, I guess. And
Yeah.
regardless of gender, like I've been on dates with men and women and other genders, I guess. And, often I feel this urge to pay for stuff myself because if I really like someone, it inspires me to be generous. Right. And I like it when I get that same consideration back from someone else. Right. If they're showing appreciation for me through generosity, and if they're showing me that I inspire them to be generous and that they want to, help me have fun and have a great time and give me something that adds to my enjoyment and makes my life more wonderful, that is a turn on, right? It makes me feel special.
Yeah, I agree. And I also want to put a caveat that I actually enjoy being generous. So I think that, okay, I'm going to talk about strictly male and female relationships because we're asking for guidelines to a certain extent, right? I would say that a man should pay for the woman, but I think that by date 3, if a woman hasn't at least bought like a cup of coffee or like some sort of small thing, that's just rude. You know what I mean? Like, I think
So
that,
you would like, as a woman in a heterosexual dating situation, you would like to mostly for him to pay for the dates, but that for you to show a little bit of an opportunity to participate without it being a big burden.
yeah, exactly. It's because, yeah, I would say that if I'm picking up every fourth check or something, I think that that eventually is where it should settle in like a more serious dating relationship. But I think during the courtship process, it's the guy should be paying. But
Yeah, and would it turn you off to have to talk about that? Would you like him to just be able to intuit that without asking you, like, so how do you want to do this? Do you want me to pay? Do you want to go Dutch?
oh, he shouldn't ask me anything about that. He's a man.
Okay, he should just
In
be
my
picking up the
opinion,
check.
that would be just as bad. I think a man should want to pay because he's a man and that's what he should do. I feel like there are certain roles that women do. For example, if I were with a man and we were together, like I would make sure that his home is clean or that I made dinner, and not always, not in a job way, but there are certain things that I associate with feminine characteristics, and I feel that I should also do my part. Not like get in the kitchen and make me a sandwich, but I do think that there are just certain things that women do better and men do better. And I like to have them pay. And then I like being pretty and making them look good at a party. Gosh, I feel
Yeah,
like
I
I'm
mean, and that's a
calls for that one, but I think that, that's just how I look at it, you know?
Sure. I mean, and I think your perspective represents a lot of people where sort of the more traditional gender roles work really well for some people. In fact, for a lot of people, they just feel naturally aligned with those things. And I mean, even if you question some things about traditional gender roles, you do have to kind of acknowledge that there is this imbalance in nature, right, about reproduction, where for a man, it's like pretty easy. He just basically makes a sperm donation. And, but whereas a woman is like really invested in making a baby, right? By carrying it in her body for 9 months and giving it all this nutrients and all this blood and taking a lot of risking her life, in fact, to give birth, to create new life there. And, also nursing and breastfeeding, like there is this real imbalance in nature to do with reproduction. And I think that everybody picks up on that subconsciously. And so when you're in a heterosexual dating relationship, it feels good when the man attempts to restore that balance or balance it out by taking on more responsibility for providing resources and for, I guess, I don't know, I guess making sure treating the woman as a special prize.
Well, if I'm being honest, I think that part of it is a barrier to entry, right? So I want to know that that guy is, because I'm a softie, right? So if I actually end up liking somebody, I'm just like a sucker, So I need to have little, I don't know, like little trials to set them up. Okay, well, if you are taking me out and you're investing time and money into me, and like making sure that we have nice dates and stuff like that, and that we're getting to know each other, well, then that makes me value that person more. And I think that that's part of it for a lot of women. I think a lot of times guys, they see it. And by the way, I want to say that it sucks to be a guy because you can take out so many women and just blow through so much cash. And that's horrible. So you have to come up with a way to be creative. Maybe you don't take out every single woman to, let's say, dinner. Maybe you think of like a way to meet your budget, because I definitely think that's a real issue. But at the same time, as a woman, I mean, if a guy can't afford to take me to, I'm not talking about, you know, Jean Georges or something, but like a decent restaurant and have like a nice night out. I don't know. I mean, I'm a high value chick. I feel like I should be dating somebody who makes at least as much as I do and more and can provide something for me. I don't know.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you want to know that at least the person is invested in you enough to show, to pony up something, right? To show that they have something at stake.
Yeah, but I'm talking about this and it's funny because you have the cultural prism of today, and then in the back of my mind I hear, you know, my Polish mother, right? And that whole kind of cultural, just a few generations back, the way that men and women accounted for one another. And even, and what I'm saying now, saying, well, I want a man to buy me dinner. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed. It's so like rude, but it's true. I don't know. I think that there's something to be said for those old fashioned barriers that our moms kind of taught us about. And I don't know, I'm old fashioned as time goes on. I don't know what to say about it. It's kind of weird, but you know, because
I don't think it's weird. I think that
like I would be making like not a lot of money at all, and I would be supporting a couple of my boyfriends. And maybe that's what makes me more aggravated by it, because I've already been the sucker before in that regard. Like here I was spending more money on my boyfriend and they were just like lounging around, not having a job. You know, maybe that makes me more averse to it. It's like, do you have health insurance? Do you have a job? Do you live with your parents? You know, and by the way, some people still live with their parents. I don't know. I wouldn't want to live with my parents, but whatever. I'm not trying to be judgy.
No shame in living with your parents, especially if you're trying to save up money. But, you know, if you're trying to attract a partner, financial stability is an attractive quality, right? Like it's not necessarily always just going to attract people who want to take advantage of you, right? It's attractive when someone shows that they perhaps are creative and can put a product into the world that solves problems for people and then be rewarded for it by making money. It shows, you know, good judgment and the ability to plan for the future when someone is able to save money and build up wealth for themselves. So, you know,
it makes you feel safe. It makes you think, oh, this person, if things go bad, like they're not going to lose their stuff. I think a lot of times women are attracted to men for their jobs, and that's misconstrued as gold digging. But I think what it is it's the safe feeling that you get knowing that a man can make a decision and make sure that the house doesn't burn down, you know? I don't know. I think there's something very attractive about that.
Absolutely. And yeah, I mean, if we're talking about heterosexual dynamics, I heard this term called emotional gold digging the other day, which I thought was kind of funny. And that was about the idea that, you know, men sometimes, not all men, of course, not all women, it has standard disclaimer, but men are basically often expecting women to do free emotional work for them, like listen to their problems, like as a therapist or something. And here we are doing a relationship show where we're taking questions from people and we're offering free advice. So, you know, sometimes but we're doing it for fun, right? And sometimes I think women are just asked to provide these services that you would normally pay a therapist for or something like that for free.
So this is actually an interesting interplay of the exchange, right? Because when a woman goes out to dinner and the guy pays, she has to listen to his emotional stuff. Now, sometimes that's an exchange, but sometimes that's just literally you're just listening to them talk. And right. that's what it is, right? It's almost a little bit similar when a guy buys you, I don't know, like a drink at the bar, right? They're basically buying your ear so they can try and sell you something, and that's them.
Right. And sometimes they're not even really offering, they're making you an offensive offer for your time, you know? So that's, you know, that's just another way to think about it. Right. And
How
I
would
don't
you
know.
feel if you're a man though? Say you're a guy, right? And not all men are producers. Some of them have other kinds of qualities. I think that this sounds a little bit unfair to them, but on that, maybe to answer that concern, I think that sometimes if a guy doesn't have a lot of money, if he can show you in other ways how he can take care of you by, doing something around the house that doesn't necessarily cost money but can save you money or time, and
Yes,
like put in the effort in other ways. I don't know. A lot of women
absolutely.
won't choose a guy just based on money, because if the guy can make them feel special and feel beautiful and loved, I mean, that counts for a lot.
Absolutely. Yeah. And this is something I've also learned in my personal life, which is that emotional support and someone who's really there for me, making me feel like a queen and treating me in a way in a way that I feel really special all the time and really loved, that is worth so much more than money. That's priceless. Like, money doesn't matter when you have those things, right? And it's like, it sounds corny, but that is really the most important thing. And so guys, money can't buy you love, like, if money can buy you a sex worker or a sugar baby or a pretend girlfriend experience, but it can't buy you genuine love. And, some women are attracted to that, of course, but I would say if you don't have a lot of wealth built up or you have other fantastic qualities, don't despair. You're going to find someone out there for you who appreciates what you have to offer.
Yeah. And ladies, don't sell yourselves short. Yeah, that's it. Cool. I like this question. I want to hear from our audience though. I
Yeah.
feel like we may have inspired a little bit of ruffled feathers or something, but I don't know.
Well, now you know where Tatiana stands. If you're asking her out, you better be paying.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like it's so unattractive. And I know a lot of women that feel that way. We just get like, ew, I don't know. I'm old school, or maybe just I like food. I don't know what to say about that. We should
Everybody likes
out.
food. Everybody likes food.
Anyway, okay, cool. So what's our next question?
Was that the Alzheimer's question?
Oh, we could do the Alzheimer's question. You want to ask that one? We had the other one about where do you go from here with a couple that's mismatched, and then we have Alzheimer's question.
Oh, let's do the where do we go from here and then Alzheimer's after that.
Okay, so what about when you genuinely love and respect someone and they've supported you tons? They're your best friend, make you happy and a better person, but have a major issue that's important to you that you disagree on. For example, she doesn't want to have any more kids. She isn't libertarian. She is on a different wavelength on so many levels, but you still love her and have many other things in common and don't want to hurt her. Where do you go from there? Are politics a deal breaker? I feel like the kid thing is it's a bigger deal than the politics.
Yeah, I think we can generalize this question, right? When this person, I guess, considers themselves a libertarian and they have a particular political philosophy that's important to them. And it sounds like they want their partner to share their political philosophy, or at least that would contribute to a sense of closeness and shared reality, right? Like, we're both on the same page about this thing that's important to both of us. But there are also some other issues, right? Where he wants to have more kids and she doesn't. Is that right?
Yeah. No, it sounds like she doesn't want to have any children. I think she already has.
Oh, she doesn't want to have any children. Okay.
Like, she may already, I believe that she already has them and she doesn't want any more.
Yeah. Well, I would say that, it sounds like the question asker is saying they feel guilty because this person has been supportive of them in the past. The person says, sorry, too many persons. The question asker says, when you genuinely love and respect someone and they've supported you tons and they're your best friend and they make you happy and a better person, but they have major issues that you disagree on, it sounds like the person feels some guilt about wanting out of this relationship when they've received so much support from their partner in the past. And yeah, I mean, that can be tough, but you don't owe anyone anything. It's actually not doing her a service to stay with her in a relationship where you're not happy out of a sense of obligation because she supported you in the past. Does that make sense? And do you agree, Tatiana?
Well, it sounds like this guy still loves her, but
Yeah, but
I don't know.
do you
When
think
do you
it's a
know when
different
it's time
kind?
to go? You know, how do
Do
you
you
know
think
when
it's
it's the
like a
time?
different kind of love? Like, because over time, love can sort of change, right? Like, there's this new love that we feel when we're starting a new relationship, and there's a lot of potential and a lot of sexual chemistry, and we don't really know the person that well yet. But then over time, the love kind of matures into like this family kind of bond, and then that's when some people can lose the spark and lose the chemistry. And it sounds like maybe that's what happened, but they've also grown apart a little bit too.
I'm not taking the question there. I think that the bottom line is if you want kids and the other person doesn't want kids, I think you just got to go. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I
I
think
think
that's
that
probably
that's
a
the
good
bottom.
answer.
That's more important. Politics is important. I think, unpopular opinion, I think it's less important for a man if a woman agrees with his politics than it is for a woman to have a man agree with their politics. So let me explain what I mean. I
You
think
think women
that
are more tolerant of differing political views in a partner?
no, I think that if I was married to a guy whose politics I didn't respect, I couldn't marry them or I couldn't be with them because it's important to me to respect my man's intellect. I don't think that men care that much about the intellect of their wives as much as women care about the intellect of their husbands. Men are usually there, like they care to a certain extent about that conversation, but I don't think that they weigh it as much in their overall valuation of the person. Like women, at least in my case, if a guy is smart, it's probably more on my higher list of, let's say, top 5 things that I need. I think in general, a man needs a woman to be smart in other ways, not so much in politics because they want to dominate in that arena anyway.
Hmm.
Do you disagree with me? You hate my answer.
No, I don't hate your answer. I think it's just, I think you're just kind of being honest about what you want, and that's fine. And a lot of people share your perspective. I think, like for me, I used to feel differently about this. I used to think it's really important that people are on the same page about politics because politics reflects your personal values. And if your values are not aligned, how can you possibly have a relationship that works? Now, I really don't think that anymore. I think that was like kind of a rigid view. I think it's possible that people can disagree about politics, but the most important thing is how you talk about it. Are you able to actually
Ah,
have
interesting. Yeah.
yeah. Are you able to have actually respectful discussions about the things that you disagree with? Are you able to see each other's perspective? And not just when it's easy to see the other person's perspective, but even when it's hard, even when you disagree. But even if you disagree, can you still see where they're coming from? And that to me, I think is more important than whether you agree because people's views change, right? The things that people are interested in and what people are excited about at that moment, that's going to change over time. And even political views and philosophical views are going to shift around a little bit for most people as they grow and change and learn. And that's fine. You know, that happens to most people. But if you can't talk about something you disagree about, that, that is trouble for a relationship.
Your answer is so much more adult than mine. I like your answer. It's a very good answer. Would you be able to date like a raging socialist? They were just like, oh, Bernie all day. Would you
I don't think I would be able to date someone who is like really excited about Bernie Sanders and like spending a lot of time on it.
because you
But
wouldn't respect them intellectually.
yeah, but I mean, I could, sure. I mean, I would, it would depend on the person, right? But if someone has ideas that are leaning towards leftist ideas or socialism, like, sure, I'm totally willing to talk about that. And I have some sympathies myself, you know? I would say I'm more to the, if we have to put each other in a box, like, I would identify more with the left than the right, but again, I just try to, like, I don't like to get involved in, uh, I don't like the way that politics kind of ends up dictating people's lives and taking the focus off themselves and onto things that they can't control, right? Onto what's going outside. Politics makes people focus on what's going on outside of them instead of what's going on inside. And to me, especially in relationships, what's going on inside is way more important than what's going on outside that you can't control.
This is why you did this for many years. Okay, fine. You're right. I'm just reducing people to their mental capacity based on their political views. Deciding that it's not that important if they're
Well,
smart
but
or not.
this is good news what I'm saying though, because if you are someone who is involved in a niche political movement like libertarianism or Bernie Sanders or whatever, if you're someone who's involved in a niche movement, those niche movements tend to often have problems where the dating pool within that movement is kind of small, right? Sometimes women tend to, stay away from niche political movements. And there's been a lot of discussion on the internet about why that is. I'm not going to go into it right now here, but sometimes the dating pool can be kind of small. And so if you open yourself up to dating people who maybe don't have the exact same political views as you do, your dating pool just became a lot bigger, and you could be opening yourself up to a great relationship that you might have dismissed or overlooked if you weren't open to dating someone who had different politics than you.
I really like my rigid views, and I used to be tolerant, and lately I'm just so irritated with the political climate that I've like reverted back into grumpy old man mode, and I'm like, listen here, kids. If you don't believe in liberty, I don't want to talk to you anymore. And like, I mean it. I've just had it because, the political climate has become so toxic. But I think you're bringing up some good points. So there might be some hope for our question asker, but not around the kid thing. So I think you got to decide, if the kid point is going to be a deal breaker, because that one seems more important than the politics, especially if
I
that.
agree with you. Yeah, I agree with you. That's about your future, and you don't have forever to decide on that. If you really want to have children and your partner doesn't, there's a time limit on that. So figure it out.
Awesome. Well, good luck, listener. We would refer to you by your name, but you didn't write a clever name. If you want to write us a question, we would love to hear your question, but we would also appreciate it if you had a funny last name, jokey looking ones. We don't care if you Google them and then send.
For example, Fanny Wanks a lot.
Oh, Fanny Wanks a lot. She's a lovely, lovely question writer who.
Yeah, we know Fanny. Hi, Fanny. Thank you for your
Fanny.
questions.
Indeed.
Hey, girl.
Okay, so we have one more question for our audience before we wrap it up, and this is sort of a niche question, but maybe there's going to be some overlap with our audience. So why don't you read it to us, Steph?
Yeah, I think this question seems niche, but it's actually very broadly applicable because it's about acceptance fundamentally. So, okay, here's the question. I have a question. I have a friend who's a lesbian, and her mother has Alzheimer's disease. She's been married to the same woman for many years now, and she keeps telling her mother that she's gay, but then her mother throws a fit and disowns her, and it's a huge thing. This has happened dozens of times over several years. Why has it happened so often? Because her mother forgets after each time. She called and told me about their fight again today, and I just had enough. I told her, stop telling your mother. I've said this before, and it was met with, well, you don't understand what it's like not being accepted. So I told her, enough is enough. I see no point in continuing to tell her mother, have the fight, get disowned, and disturb her mom, also that she can just forget and it plays out again later. It seems almost cruel to me. Yes, as a straight woman, I have no idea what it's like to come out to family. And I admit that I don't really understand this need to come out over and over again. But my friend says I'm being too logical and I'm not taking her feelings into account. Am I wrong in thinking she should just cut her losses, enjoy her time with her wife, and enjoy what time she has left with her mother and keep them separate? I understand wanting acceptance, but it's abundantly clear to me that she will never get it.
Yeah, that chick has to stop torturing her mom. And also find acceptance.
Torturing her mom? What about herself?
Yeah, well, she needs to accept herself. Like, her mom's outer approval shouldn't be so important to her. I mean, I don't know. That's what it seems like to me. It's like you should be happy within yourself. The mom is just getting upset every time. I can't imagine it's nice for anybody involved. Just accept that your mom isn't going to necessarily give you that stamp of approval for all eternity, and just stop asking for it every time. Because I feel like the woman in the story with the wife who keeps coming out to her mom is just setting herself up for disaster. I don't think it's fun for either of them. So why even just, it's almost like asking for
Yeah.
somebody else to make you happy, whereas what you need to do is make yourself happy. That's my hot take.
Yeah, I mean, I actually really agree with that, that it sounds like the person who keeps coming out to her mother over and over again is just repeating this Groundhog Day kind of movie. And it's a train wreck every time because she's looking for acceptance and she never really gets what she needs. And that's heartbreaking. And the only way to break that cycle is to realize that she's never going to get acceptance from her mother. She really needs to give acceptance to herself, and that's really painful and difficult. And it's not the most fun advice to give, but really this is a similar situation that I think we can all relate to, because we all have this tendency to seek acceptance and validation and approval from other people when what we really need is self-acceptance, and we really need to give it to ourselves. And the great thing about that is that we can always control that. We have so much more control over whether we give ourselves self-acceptance than about whether someone else gives us their approval or their acceptance. So, yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head, Tatiana, when you said that really what she needs is self-acceptance.
Yeah, I feel bad for them. Alzheimer's is a terrible disease.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
so I'm excited about stem cells. I'm going to try and find us a guest that talks about stem cells.
Mm-hmm.
But they apparently have some positive impact for people with Alzheimer's. When my grandmother was dying, we thought that she had Alzheimer's, but she didn't. She actually had a UTI. And this is a
Oh
very
my
common
gosh.
thing in the elderly, is they get a UTI and then they start acting like they have sudden onset dementia. Um, this is like totally not related to anything, but if you have an elderly
No, this
person
is
in your
good.
life and you think that they have Alzheimer's and all of a sudden they just start forgetting, oftentimes it could be a UTI, which has just these crazy effects on people. And sometimes it leads to misdiagnoses, and it could be very scary for the family. So that was something I learned. But Alzheimer's, thumbs down. I can't even imagine. So hopefully there'll be some progress on that. Do you know anything about this?
Yes, I do. I went to medical school for 2 years of medical training. Ultimately, I chose to leave and didn't finish, but I did also do a PhD in biochemistry. And my topic of my PhD thesis was about Alzheimer's disease specifically. So I know a lot about
Oh,
Alzheimer's disease.
wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Tell us.
Yeah, I mean, it's of course, like as you said, it's extremely devastating, and it's getting more common as people live longer. And so on one hand, this is a great problem to have, right? Because people are living long enough to actually get the disease, but they're getting the disease. And my personal opinion from what I've learned is that there's a lot of lifestyle components to Alzheimer's disease. And it's kind of like, some people call it diabetes of the brain. I think that's kind of accurate, right? Like, I think there's a lot you can do to kind of keep yourself in good shape, and that includes avoiding carbs and sugar. Read Grain Brain and some of these other great books for some more information about that. Um, and yeah, just really eating a nutritious diet and focusing on exercise and also social support. Social support is huge for helping people live longer and helping people not fall victim to dementia. And even if you do start developing Alzheimer's disease, there are ways that you can compensate and that you can still function even if you're starting to get some memory loss or some other symptoms. And there's this great, a very small study, is like just totally a preliminary one, but there was some study, I think it was done, oh gosh, I'm going to need to find this, but it was basically testing out this nutritional cocktail that it involved like coconut oil and omega-3 fatty acids, like fish oil and super greens and like antioxidant rich foods, that was given to people with the beginning stages of Alzheimer's disease or cognitive decline or dementia. And it showed as much of an improvement or more than starting the pharmaceutical drugs that are prescribed for dementia. So, there's a lot you can do, I think, with nutrition and just self-care. And, I mean, for for those who are already at an advanced age or maybe had family members who are affected by this, I'm sorry if it was, it's been too late for them. But in the future, we're going to learn more about this disease. And in the meantime, we can take control of our health as much as possible and try to stave it off as much as we can.
Yeah, I've heard that nutrition is important, especially like healthy fats, almost like a keto thing. And
Yeah, the
also,
brain needs fat. I'm
yes, and
sorry.
also, well, no, it's fine. And also intermittent fasting has been a calorie reduction is supposed to be good as well. So
Yes.
we'll have to look into that more. I know we're going to have Liz Reitzig on the show soon, and she's going to talk to us about a lot of like health freedom stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So she's been
Yeah.
interesting to learn about nutrition from. But overall, I mean, I'm interested in longevity, and I'm sure our listeners are, right? We can't love if you're dead. So,
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Right. Like, I want to recommend this audiobook that I narrated. It's called Ending Aging by Aubrey de Grey and Michael Ray. And they are behind SENS Research Foundation, which is a private foundation that funds research on human longevity and extending human lifespan indefinitely to the point where we cure death. And I think that's an awesome goal. And it's a cool book. So if you want a freebie, you can always get in touch with me through my website, which is smvoice.info, and request a free copy, or just pick it up. And, I hope you enjoy it. I definitely learned a lot from that book.
yeah, I'm into that. Let's do it. Awesome. So anything else for people to hear about before we break off for the show? I think we're good. This has been a good episode. People have
Yeah.
questions. They can go to proofoflovecast.com or our Twitter, Proof of Lovecast, our Instagram. We've got all that stuff. I think Joanne on the team is going to set us up with a Pinterest. So we'll see what that does. I don't know.
Ooh, Pinterest.
Do you go on Pinterest? I know. I don't.
No, I do as little social media as possible. I can barely keep up with like one Facebook account. So.
Oh, okay.
One thing I did want to add that I forgot to mention before, and maybe we can cut this in earlier with the Alzheimer's discussion, is that another thing that's really important for keeping your brain health is addressing your past trauma and healing from it.
Really?
Because, yeah, absolutely. Because when people have unresolved emotional stuff or regrets or trauma that they are still hurting from, it takes a toll on your body because it puts your body in a constant state of stress. And there's associated hormones with that, which are cortisol and adrenaline. And cortisol, especially when you're in a state of chronic stress, suppresses your own immune system. And this actually, and it also decreases your blood. It also decreases your sensitivity to insulin, which means your blood sugar goes up. And when you have blood sugar going up, like in the case of diabetes, this can damage the small blood vessels that are found in the brain. And of course, you need your immune system too to clear out plaques and junk from the brain, and also just to keep you healthy in general. And so stress is a real killer, and a great way to enhance your longevity or to give yourself a better chance at longevity. A great way to just help your overall health is learning about stress reduction and learning about healing from past trauma. This could be the thing that literally saves your life.
How do you heal from past trauma? That's
Great
a big
question. Oh my God. Yeah, that would be a great thing to do a show about. But the answer is it's going to be different for everybody, and it's probably going to be a multifaceted approach. Therapy is a good idea. Reading books, self-help kind of books, self-therapy books, meditation, yoga, other stress management practices. Journaling is another thing that people really like. Dream analysis, keeping track of your dreams. There are as many paths to healing as there are individuals. And so you have to kind of discover your own. But if you do even a little bit of research, you're going to find many different options for yourself. And I think you'll be drawn to one as far as starting out, and then you can just go from there. And of course, healing and personal growth is a lifelong journey, and it doesn't have a destination, but the journey is fun and rewarding.
If we live forever, will we solve all of our internal problems first?
That's a great question. I don't know. I don't know the answer. I think we're constantly accumulating internal problems and trauma as we go through life, and we just can't help that, right? Like as time goes on, we lose friends, they die, they get sick, bad things happen to us. And so there's always more that's accumulating. But if you get rid of the backlog of past stuff, you're better equipped to deal with anything that comes up in the future.
All right. I like these answers. Keep working on yourselves, guys, because we love you. We're showing you proof of that every week on Fridays when the show airs.
That was great. Yes.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
All right. Peace out, everybody. We'll see you soon.
And remember to send in your questions at proofoflovecast.com.
Show me your heart. I know that it's beating. Tell me that you love me too. So I know your heart is true. 'Cause I need some proof of love. 'Cause I need some proof of love. 'Cause I need some proof of love.
Thank you for listening to Proof of Love. Please follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Proof of Lovecast. More episodes can be found at proofoflovecast.com. And make sure you leave a review on iTunes and tell your friends. Proof of Love has been brought to you by CryptoMediaHub.com, a boutique marketing and PR agency for Bitcoin and beyond.